Come on in, Jerome. Come and say hi. There you are.
Hey,
Hello, lovely man. Oh my goodness, how wonderful it is to see you. Oh gosh, you brighten my day. You are literally like a ray of sunshine, just like beaming the way, beaming forward, beaming to everyone your glowing, radiant heart. And I just love it. I love the poetry and the wisdom, and I just feel so touched that we can be here today. So thank you for joining me. It's very
absolutely.
sunny Saturday.
Yeah, sunny Saturday there. It's definitely a sunny Saturday here too. It's trying to peek
Is
its
it?
way out of the clouds at the moment. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
gosh. Good. Well, I hope it peaks out soon for you. It's not often that we get sunshine here in England, especially on the well, I used to live in the north and it was always grey in the north.
Mhm.
And now in the south, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a bit of sun. I'm like, hi, friend.
Great. When you say gray in the north, you remind me of Game of Thrones. You ever read Game of Thrones?
I've not read it, I've not seen it, but I've been told that a few times because I do refer to my hometown as the North.
The North, the
It's
queen in the
cold in the
North.
North.
They say the queen in the North. Yeah, the queen in the North.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. Just enjoying life, Alice.
Yeah.
Just enjoying this time, enjoying, you know, the growth, enjoying the evolution,
Mm.
enjoying the revolution, you know? Yeah, yeah, I'm really enjoying this time. It's a very creative time for me. And, been doing some traveling. I saw that you've been doing a lot of traveling as well, you
I've been here
know?
and there, I've been here and there. I went over to sunny China and had some wonderful experiences. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I tell you what, you have to go there. Have you ever been to any of the Asias, anywhere over there?
No, what was it like? What was it like for
Oh,
you?
it was so welcoming, I must say. It was such a welcoming space. Like the people were just so friendly. We climbed four mountains. We climbed four mountains when I was there training Shaolin. And so we did 1 week of Shaolin training. So it was in the province of Henan,
Mhm.
which is where all of the kung fu comes. Well, the kung fu of the north comes from, and that was intense. But then we got to be tourists for the second week,
Mhm.
and then
Yes.
we were climbing mountain after mountain. We went up Wudang. I don't know if you ever heard of Wudang Mountain.
So those are the mountains with like the ancient Taoist masters and people up there like very ancient,
You
ancient
bet.
wisdom. Okay.
You bet. I mean, like we climbed one mountain, and there was like literally nuns living in caves up the top.
Wow. Living in the caves. Oh my God. What did it do for your spirit to just to witness that? What did it do for you?
Oh, you know what? It was so humbling. It was one of those where you were so in the body because of all the physical movement, because like we were doing 27,000 steps a day,
Wow.
like every single day 27,000 steps. And you're so in the body that it's kind of like you you don't really have the time to be overly out there in the whole, oh, what am I feeling right now? But it's one of those where you are absorbing it with every breath and every step, and the sun was just radiant and clear every single day. And just to have those experiences, I feel like that etched into my DNA now. It's still something that I'm unpacking.
Mm. It's,
And it's
it's
been
deep.
like over a month that I've been back now.
It's still inside you, it's deep inside you. It's deep inside you. So
Oh
why
yeah.
27,000? Why that number
I
of
don't know.
steps in particular?
I mean, my watch was counting it, so I don't know. It just like that was just what it always ended on. At the end of the night, it's like you've worked out enough, you've done enough exercise, rest now. And I'm like, nope, we've got another 10 hours of training the next day. Let's go. But yeah,
Jeez.
my watch was counting it, so just
Wow.
but it was one of those where like we were doing different things each day, but it was still always ended up literally around 27,000. I was like, there's got to be something in that number.
Wow. With 10 hours of training, with all of this Shaolin training, do you feel like was it more demanding on the physicality or the mentality? Like, was it more physically demanding or mentally demanding?
Oh, great question. The body was. the body felt knackered after the first day. Like literally my knees wanted to buckle from day two, like every time I
Mm,
was walking somewhere. So then you realize though that the body is controlled by the mind. You
mm,
really realize that. So it was much more of a mental exercise because the body is the mind. To me, the body is the mind. And it was one of those where you're going to sleep at night, your body is physically in pain,
mm.
and you're waking up, at 5 o'clock, and you go into your training in the morning, and you're going, oh my God, I can't walk, I can't move. Oh my gosh, my knees are buckling. And then like 10 minutes into training, you're like, oh no, it's no problem now. It's no problem. Just have to warm up. It's fine. The body just needed to know that the mind was with it, you know? So yeah, I think
Wow.
it's more of a mental exercise than anything else, to be fair. But oh,
Wow.
Louisa's online. Hi,
Hey,
Louisa.
hey, Louisa. Did that teach you about resilience?
Yeah, I love these chats with you. I always kind of like come in to go, oh my gosh, hey, how are you? And then you like turn into this really cool, proficient like interviewer in such the best way possible, asking the most incredible questions.
I'm curious. I'm literally curious. I'm
I
literally
love it. I love it. I love it seriously. It brings such a smile to my heart. Um, what was the question?
Yeah, you talked about how, the body is the mind and the mind is the body, the
Yeah,
body-mind
yeah,
connection.
yeah.
And, you realized that revelation throughout those, the sensations that you were
Mm.
feeling, but you realized that, it's all the mind.
Mm.
Did it teach you about resilience? Did it teach you about your ability to do more than you thought you could?
Oh,
Or,
absolutely. Yeah, I did every single training session, and you're not meant to miss any anyway. You're meant to do every single one of them. But I was apprehensive, like I was training in the run up to it. I was making sure I was training every day. But it's like they're built differently, over there. It's just like it's in their blood over there just to be always active. Like they're up, you walk outside, they're up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. doing Tai Chi and Qigong in the park. You go out at night and like everyone is out socializing, having food, and also doing like dance exercise and some form of something. So being active is like in their blood. But it was one of those where it was the resilience that built was more from an emotional side,
mm,
because to me, that's when you're moving the body that much, you are learning that the body is only limited by the mind and by the collective perception of what the body can do. And then you're realizing, oh my God, that's all bull, really. Like, you can do so much more. Like this, like 10-year-old kids here doing like ridiculous acrobatics just in the middle of their day, like in their 10 minutes of break between their training sessions. They're just for the fun of it, just doing acrobatics. And you're like, endless amount of energy, you know?
endless,
Endless,
endless.
endless, endless. You know something about that, don't you?
We're learning. We are students of life, you and I. We're continuously learning. And, they say the master is only the master because they're always a student, right? They're always a student.
Absolutely.
So when you're seeing this, Alice, like when you're witnessing these people around you
Yeah,
and you say that active vibration is in their blood, it's in their
yeah,
DNA, it's
yeah.
ingrained in their nervous system.
Hmm.
To be active is in their blood, it's in their culture, it's in their custom.
Yeah.
Where did you see the big differences from where you're from in the north?
Oh
You
my
know?
gosh, but in the north. Well, it's like you can almost feel it. It's like when I got back off the plane, like, and I'm sure there'll be something to do with like how high the country is versus how high it is here and the weather conditions and la la la. But like you could tangibly feel like like I felt very light when I was in China. Like my body felt very light. And then when I got back to England, I was like, oh my gosh, oof, oof, like heavy. I was like, what's happened? Like nothing's changed in the past 12 hours. I've just boarded a flight. Um, it's such a, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm trying to maintain as best as possible that which I learned in China.
Mm.
So it's like I was out in the park this morning at 5:30. It's pitch black at that time here. It's like dark until 7 a.m. And I was out like doing my morning training. I was like, I'm just gonna get at least a good half an hour in, maybe a bit longer. But I'm just gonna do some Shaolin training
Mhm.
first thing in the morning. And it's just like there is so many of us calling for this lightness of energy,
Mhm.
but also we need that inspiration. right? We need that inspiration from others. And for me, everyone in China really inspired me
Mm,
because whether they were doing Shaolin or whether they weren't, it doesn't really matter. You know, I was just in a car going down the road one day. It was like a highway, and in the middle bank, instead of it just being like concrete or anything like that, the people had dug it up and planted allotments in it. So like you're driving in like 3 lanes, 4 lanes this side, three, 4 lanes that side, and right in the middle there are people that are digging up vegetables. You
wow.
know, it's just such a different world, and we look at them and go, is that third world? Is it first world? Who really knows what's, you know? And then I'm like, they've got it figured out though.
Yeah.
It's simple and it's resourceful and it's nourishing and wholesome and fulfilling. You
Yeah.
know, it's a beautiful place.
There's a
Yeah.
genius. There's a genius in simplicity, you know? Simplicity, there's so much, you know, I love the synchronicities, I love the simplicity,
Mm.
I love the electricity that you felt, you know, just being over there in the ambiance and the
Yeah.
atmosphere, just soaking up a whole
Mm.
different field, you know, a different energy field. You're dealing with different people that speak different languages, that have different beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was so evident as well. It's like, you know, you driving down the road and instead of seeing hospitals, you're seeing traditional Chinese medicine hospitals, which is like, you know, acupuncture and Chinese medicine and like stuff that's
Right.
been going on for thousands of years that
Mm,
works, that the Western world can't comprehend, you
mhm.
know, and will try and prescribe something to, you know, alleviate something. You're just going, but look at what the Chinese are doing. Look what they've been doing for that 5,000
Yeah.
years. It works. It works. So it was really cool just to see the longevity
Mhm.
in the energy of each individual, you know?
Yeah.
It was evident.
Even even with TCM, you know,
Hmm.
I see like every now and then, if you really go into like the cracks and crevices of the back alleyways and the little markets, like the little stores here, you might see an acupuncture
Yeah.
place or, you know, some place over here every now and then, but they're
Hmm.
very few and far between out
Yeah.
here. You know,
Yeah.
you see more like emergency rooms, you see hospitals, you see these different places and different
Hmm.
spaces, but you really have to look or find a phone book to really find like where these
It's true.
acupuncture places
It's
are, you know?
true. It's
Yeah.
true. And it's so effective. Like I love acupuncture. I started having acupuncture last year and it completely like changed my world. Like it
Mm,
changed my whole body and how all my energy was moving, which obviously it's meant to do. It's meant to unclog and unblock all that stuff. But it's one of those where you're kind of looking at things that have maybe even been chronic through your life and you're going, oh my goodness, this is just like I just didn't understand my element. I just didn't understand my element or that my meridians were blocked or something like that, you know?
right. Just to look at the body differently, like to see your anatomy
Yeah.
differently, to see the energy centers, the energy channels differently,
It's
you
tangible
know?
though, isn't it now? It's like you can literally see it and feel it on such a different level.
Mm.
Yeah, you can.
I'm wondering too, like with Vipassana, last
Mm.
conversation we talked about Vipassana. How did it
Yes.
stack up? Because you said this was mentally taxing on your body and mind,
Vipassana was
but
harder.
how did it, okay, so
Mhm.
Shaolin training was harder than Vipassana.
Vipassana was harder.
Vipassana was harder than Shaolin.
Vipassana was Vipassana was harder than Shaolin because what right, so this is what I love here is that I've been asked that so many times actually since coming
Okay,
back and
okay.
I didn't know how it would weigh up. I was like, if I do Vipassana, then I know I'll be able to do the Shaolin. You know, that's kind of like it was one of those things where I'm going to go to China in the, you know, in the summer. I'm going to go over a very energetic time. I was going over Lions Gateway and everything that was going on then. Um, and when I did the Vipassana, it was like end of May, start of June,
Hmm.
and it just like my whole calendar opened up. It was like literally like everything was guiding me to go and do it. And had I not done that, I think I would have found China way harder. But Vipassana, I found more challenging
Wow.
because the mind, you are only with your mind.
Right.
Whereas when you're doing Shaolin, you're really only with the body. You don't have time to be upset. You don't have time to be angry. You don't have time to feel the things that maybe your over racing, fractured mind would feel because you're bringing it all together in the movement that you're doing. You're being in your body, right? Otherwise, it's all the things that distract us and disturb us. It's our mind is just out of the body somewhere. So
Hmm.
in some ways, you're dealing with the physical pain, and it's pain like I've never felt, in all honesty. You know, so now it brings a different energy to pain and what it really is, and the message that it's bringing from the body, and just how it's the body and the mind haven't communicated in this way before. Let's bring them together.
Hmm.
But in the Vipassana, you're with yourself, yourself, and you know, and I think some would find the Shaolin harder,
Mm.
but I think doing the Vipassana straight before it, to then go into Shaolin, that was great preparation. In all honesty, it was a really good prelude. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty, just transparency of like that experience and how they measured up next to each other and how one certainly prepared you for the other.
yeah,
It sounds like that was the proper preparation that you needed for the better performance down the road.
yeah.
And even Louisa is echoing you down here,
Oh yeah,
Alice. Louisa is saying,
yeah,
Vipassana is harder indeed, 10 days in
yeah.
silence. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you do like a pranic retreat, and then you just going, okay, now I've got three things to weigh in on. You know, it's what I found really interesting is that I think a lot of people would not be able to do that Shaolin training. A lot of people wouldn't. And even some of the people that were in our group, they didn't do every session.
Hmm.
They did most of them, but maybe one or two were missed. People feeling a bit unwell, the body was kind of, but I think as well, when you do Vipassana, you're really, because the whole purpose of it is, you're developing your samadhi, right, through the anapana, and then you know, so if you're even just that aspect of Vipassana alone, you have a different concept of what the body is doing. So like, I don't know about you, Jerome. I wonder your experience here, but when we did Vipassana, we spent 4.5 days only doing anapana,
Hmm.
right? And then we moved on to the Vipassana, but we would always start with anapana.
Right.
And when we were hearing the discourses of the Buddha, it was really cool to hear one of them in which, and it's not the most pleasant of stories, but it's one where there was a Buddha who was captured, and he had such control over his mind through anapana meditation that he could bring all of his focus into that single point, so that he didn't feel the pain from when his capturers were, hurting his
Wow.
body. And he
Wow.
still maintained that immense compassion and grace and
Mhm.
love. And in all honesty, I returned to that discourse time and time again whilst I was in Shaolin. And I just kept
Wow.
remembering that. And every time I was like feeling this pain, I kept reminding my body, I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel tired. You're only tired because my mind thinks you should be tired. Body doesn't get tired, right?
Right.
Body doesn't need to get tired. It's just
No.
the energy just needs rerouting, you know?
Mm-hmm. Anicca. Anicca.
Anicca.
Yeah.
So I was doing like whenever I was hurting, like, I'm like going straight to my anapana meditation,
Yeah.
like yeah.
That is so beautiful. I love that you just drew that influence and like injected it straight into the experience and just let it bolster you, like just let it hold you up in that experience because you held yourself in that container. So you
Yeah.
hold yourself in this one. It's just amazing how we can draw from some of the struggles, some of the just the levels of adversity, the obstacles that we had to overcome, the tests and the trials that we had to surmount, the mountains. Like they say, the mountain is you. There's
Yeah.
there's even a quotation like you said you climbed 4 mountains.
Well,
They say when you get to the mountain, when you climb the mountain, they say it wasn't actually the mountain you conquered.
yeah.
It was yourself.
Yeah.
Like you conquered
Oh,
yourself
that's
when you climb
beautiful.
that mountain.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. It's like, you're climbing this thing and it just never seems to end,
Yeah.
right? It never seems to end. And it's just like, it's one of those when you actually get there, you go, oh my God, wow. Have I just realized what I've just done? Like, look at that. I'm literally above the clouds right now. Oh my
Right.
God.
Right.
Legs, did you know you could do that?
Yeah, you're like shouting out your own body, just
Yeah.
like
Like,
pat
look what you
yourself on the
did.
back. Yeah, like wow, thank you. Just
But
you got
yeah,
me up here,
yeah. And then it was just always such a treat because, of course, the temples are at the top.
Mm,
And even though it's not really about the temples, it's not about those spaces, they just represent something, right?
mhm, mhm,
But it's always such a joy to get to the top, and then you see all these
mm.
Buddhas, and they might be statues and beautiful architecture and that, but the energy and the sense you're giving your thanks and your appreciation,
Mhm.
and and you really realize that, well, this actually is the path, right?
Yeah.
This is what it is. It's not, it's not actually about the statue. It's not about the temple. It's not about, people could look at it and going, well, if they're meant to be Buddhist, why are there so many gold statues everywhere? And you go, it's not actually about that.
Mm.
It's representative of what it takes to get there,
Ooh,
you know? Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's
That's
the
to
journey.
me.
The
Yeah.
journey is like what it took to get there on the way,
Yeah.
like all the things. Wow, that is perspective. That is perspective.
It's
Like,
humbling.
yeah.
Yeah, no, go on.
No, I was
I was just like, it
just
was
saying,
humbling.
like,
Yeah.
just speaking of like the energy there,
Mm,
not just like the energy of the statues and just, these figures and these deities and just the things that you're looking at, but also like historically the energy of the place. I know you being an energy worker, you've been over the world, you've been to
mm,
different energy points and energy
mm,
centers in
mhm,
different places on the world. You've done work with like the ley lines and like
mm,
purifying like locations and feeling that vibration. So what
mm.
was it like for you to feel the actual energy in these spaces? Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like a delayed response actually in some capacity. Because once again, you're so in the body that you just kind of like your mind is like really introspective. And then you
Hmm.
get there and you're like, wow, okay. And then it's only on the descent that you go, oh my goodness, can you feel that? Like,
Uh,
I'm literally glowing with a different hue
mhm,
from visiting up the top of the mountain. And,
mhm.
and you can, like, the air is getting thinner, but your body is getting like more, yeah, it's, yeah, it's just, it's hard to even put into words
Yeah.
because the feeling that you have, and of course it's each to their own as well, but for me, when I go up to the top, and it it was just so magical.
Mm.
It was just so cool. It was just so cool to like go there and go, these have been here thousands of years.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that would have walked this, the amount of Shaolins that would have ran it, and like all the blood, sweat, and tears that people will have done just to kind of release their shadows, release the identity they thought they were, just to attain that journey, that height, um, that memory, to etch that into their mind in their physical shoes.
Hmm.
It was humbling.
Yeah.
Like, there was one place. There's a place. I think it's in Beijing.
Hmm.
Because we toured a few different places really, and a lot of it was very like whistle stop tour. So like we didn't really have a great deal of time. I would have loved to spend like a full day at each of the places that we went to, but it was really like an hour and a bit that we were at a lot of these places. But one of them was the Temple of Heaven, and the Temple of Heaven, well, it would be where the emperor would connect with source energy
Mm.
and receive the wisdom to then share with people.
Okay.
And there is this one point, um, in this venue, and it's not up a mountain. This is just kind of a space. It's a temple. It's a space, but it's an open plan, kind of like platform
Hmm.
with concentric circles, and right in the middle, that's where everyone wants to stand. Everyone wants to stand in the middle because that is the point. And so when I went and stood in the middle, and when I was walking around that side, that is the one that I could very, very tangibly in real time feel like my hairs were like standing up on my arms. Like I could feel it to that capacity in that place. And it was one of those where I was like, wow, say a prayer here. It's like say a prayer to yourself, say a prayer to, you know, for the world, whatever floats your boat. But it was one of those where you're like, there's so many people running to get their photos. I wonder how many are feeling
Yeah.
what actually is to be felt here. Because that was
Yeah.
profound. That blew open my crown. It was really cool.
Blew it straight open. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I was like,
Like,
seriously, I was nearly in tears. I was like, oh my gosh. Just like,
mm,
literally, it was just like an open platform, kind of like, concrete circles and stuff. It wasn't really anything extravagant. But I was like, oh my gosh, like this is one of the most profound things, apart from
Yeah.
like mountains and that, but yeah, it was very cool, man. It was very, very cool.
Thank you for describing that. Like, thank you just for taking us down memory lane and like giving us a picture and an illustration of that sensation in the moment
Mm,
of you said it was profound and it blew open your crowd.
yeah.
You know, it just blew it open when everybody else is interested in kind of like taking photos and selfies. You're
Mm,
over there, you're tuned in, you're synced in, you're like
yeah.
just, in the moment. And do you feel like the energy signatures that we draw from places like this and spaces like this,
Mm.
does it really follow you like wherever you go?
Oh yeah,
Like you said, there's a piece of China with you wherever you go. There's a piece of that space.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, not only also because I also have things from China now in my home. Like there was a guy at Wudang Mountain, he was so clever. They have skills, you know?
Mm,
Like the Chinese are skilled.
yeah.
Like they are artists. And there was this one chap who he was carving um he was carving these pieces of Wudang Mountain rock and making bracelets and statues and figurines and stuff. And I got a little rose bracelet. I wish I was wearing it right now, but I'm not. It's in the other room. But it's like I look at that and I go, I literally have Wudang Mountain on me right now. But I mean, of course, physicality aside, it's with you when you walk
Mhm.
somewhere. And I know people can have very different opinions on this. If you just look at a photo, you can, feel and sense the energy, absolutely. But there's nothing akin to actually walking
Mhm.
on, that earth.
The land.
You
Yeah.
bet, you bet. And feeling it. And it was even like we went to, I forget the name of it. There's a square near the Forbidden City.
Hmm.
And, you know, there's lots of history anywhere, right? Lots of different energies anywhere. But it was really fascinating because, I went from the temple of heaven with all this very high energy, this very pure, very clear energy. And then I go to this square where, atrocities have happened, even in fairly recent years. And
Mm.
you can feel the shift in energy, and you're just going, I didn't write the itinerary. I didn't plan the journey. Someone else has planned this for me. And what a perfect synchronicity. And it's such a perfect divine orchestration that I'd first go to the temple of heaven and pick up the energy codes there, and then go to this square where all this stuff might have happened.
Yeah.
And you can feel the energy and you're imbuing it with
Yeah. Yeah.
every step, you know?
Wow. It's
It
like
was just, it was really cool.
the balance of yin and yang,
Yeah.
that balance, that harmony of just appreciating the contrast,
Hmm.
appreciating the dynamic and the differences in the spaces. I love that you're just sensitive enough to pick up on that, and just, even Shaolin in particular,
Mm.
like what brought you there in the first place, or your love of
Yeah.
Kung Fu. When
Oh,
did
I
your
love it.
love of Kung Fu actually sprout, bloom, and blossom? You know?
Oh, yeah. That was Lions Gateway last year. Um, I was going through a lot of like transition and change, and I think a lot of people do at Lionsgate, right? Lions Gateway, eclipses, these are all these like portals of change around. And around the summer solstice and Lions Gateway, I was going through a lot of change, and I was changing kickboxing clubs.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I was just looking around, seeing what else was there, what I could find. And then Shaolin came up, and I was like, oh, I'm going to try that. I'm going to give it a go. And you realize that martial arts in general, they become part of you if you get into them. But
Mhm.
Shaolin is really something different. And I mean, it's one of those where like I train every day now, Shaolin something. It might not be super, skilled, right? It takes a long time, like Kung Fu or Gong Fu, as it's in Chinese, it literally means hard work over a long period of time. So you're not going to learn it in a year or anything like that. It's like it's a lifelong journey if you let it be. And it comes with its trials and tribulations as well, for sure. But yeah, when I went to China, that really solidified it for me. And that's, once again, to me, perfect orchestration because there's a lot of change happening right now for me
Mhm.
currently, even around Shaolin. And so it's such a beautiful, it was such a beautiful gift that with on a great spectrum it was. There was a lot of interesting things that happened on this trip, but it was one of those where it kind of like it anchored it in where I realized, oh my gosh, I actually really love this culture. I actually really love this way of life. I actually really love all of this. And I hope that I continue to do some form of Shaolin for the rest of my life. I hope I
Mhm.
continue to enjoy it as much and feel the satisfaction as much as I do. Because it really, I haven't found something that matches it to that capacity.
Mm.
And, even when big challenges may arise and big shifts and changes may come and greet you and surprise you, you kind of go, well, if you kind of let it be as we do, right? We don't want to resist anything. We want to just let it be and let it flow and let the highest good come through. That, Shaolin will continue to find
Mhm.
you because it's a unification as well. I'm sure the yogis feel this if they, if you come across a yogi or someone who studies Ayurveda, I'm sure it's a similar
Mm.
concept where that unification process binds you. But it develops, it develops in many ways a deeper understanding of the mastery of the body and of the energy fields because of its heritage, because of its base. And you can't just do Shaolin and not learn about Chinese medicine. You can't just do Shaolin and not learn about how your energy systems work. You can't not just do Shaolin and not learn how to also expand on the yin energy to
Mhm.
replenish and restore, as well as the yang energy, which you're building up to, to build your body, your conditioning, your flexibility. I've never been so flexible. I've never been so strong. And there's still a long way to go. There's still a long, long way to go. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like it for an energy worker, as you say, it brings a very tangible, pragmatic
Mhm.
aspect to feeling the energy of things. It's like when you're working with like a stick, it becomes part of your
Right.
body. You're working with a weapon or something, it becomes part of your body. I've just got some
The
Shaolin whips, and I'm so
whips.
excited.
Yeah, I seen
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
seen you cracking
I'm
them.
so
You
excited about
was
those.
cracking the whip. You was cracking them. I was like, look at her go. Look at
I'm so
Alice.
excited about it. It's so cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of change right now though.
Hmm.
And that's okay. And that's okay because
Yeah,
it's in you.
it
So
is.
yeah.
And you even said in the video that you're cracking the Shaolin whips that you got from China.
Yeah.
You said in the video it says like this is gonna take a long time. You know, like you're embracing the journey. You're embracing, the hard work, the gung fu. You're
Yeah.
you're embracing that it's not gonna be easy, but you're like it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
You know, yo,
Absolutely.
I love.
But I wonder because I mean, you practice the qigong, you offer it every single day. You offer it every day as part of your sharing and presumably nourishment as well to self and your service and your beautiful big heart. I mean, you know something about this. You know something about these things. How how is life for you right now? Mr. Author, Mr. Poet, Mr. Brightener of everyone's hearts, you know?
Well, I mean, I don't know about everyone's hearts. Yeah.
You're going through some change too.
I wrote something on Threads today. I wrote
Yeah.
something on Threads, and it was I've done bad
Mm.
and I've done good, and I know which one I prefer.
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
which
that's
which
beautiful.
which one I prefer. So it's just like understanding that, hey, you know, we have to come to terms with what has been done,
Yeah.
but it doesn't stop us from what must be done.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm doing what must be done
Hmm.
now, but I know what has been done before. So it's a reminder. I love the sentiments, I love the compliments, but there's always something in my mind letting me know, hey, Jerome, you can do more.
Oh,
There's more to do.
always.
Yeah.
Well, the bigger the spectrum, the more that we can achieve, though, right? I mean, they validate each other. If we feel like we've done, as you say, I've done good things and bad. I know which I prefer. The bad validate the good. You wouldn't know the value of it without going to one end of the spectrum. And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
the thing is like this is just the beautiful part of this dualistic world that we're in. this polarized world, right? You know,
Mm.
they
Hmm.
validate one another, and in the grand scheme of things, it's all just exploration. It's all exploration
Sure.
and compassion, right? Above
Compassion
it
is
all.
a big one. Yeah, especially for yourself. Just having that
Mhm.
compassion for yourself, like that's huge. It's
Oh yeah,
huge.
it's
Yeah.
hard for many, for most, for all, nearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we self-condemn a lot, hey?
Yeah. Like even with feeling like you should be further along,
Ah, that's that
than your
should though, isn't it? That should
that
someone else's expectations that
should,
you put in your bag and you're just carrying it with you, and
right?
that's all should means.
Right.
You should be further along. Who told you that? Where did you get that from?
Exactly.
It's your
So like there are times
journey.
where there are times when I've been doing a stretch, like a particular stretch where I'm like leaning forward, my legs
Mm,
are, split out to the sides and I'm like trying to lean forward and I'm like, and I've seen people, we play into that comparison game of like, man, I wish I could go all the way down to the
mm,
floor or something like that.
yeah,
So when you're playing into that comparison game and you're thinking, I wish I was further along, but you're embracing the process, you're enjoying the journey,
yeah.
you know that it'll continue. If you continue, it will
Hmm.
continue to improve. If you continue to move, if you continue to,
Yes.
go into that position. But you did
Yeah.
say that your flexibility right now has never been greater. You said
Yeah.
it's never been, you've
Never
never
been this
been this
good.
flexible.
Never
So
been this
in
flexible.
in what ways do you mean that, Ellis?
Well, I mean, you get kind of pushed into splits in Shaolin. You have to be
Push,
flexible for Shaolin.
push.
Pushed in, yeah, like I mean, not like, I mean, kind of, yeah, but it's you have to be flexible for a sport like that because it's acrobatic based, right? It's martial art, it's acrobatic, and especially like modern wushu version of it. But once again, I'm speaking as a complete novice here, so this is only what I've observed and picked up from Shifu in like the past year. But there's a big emphasis on splits training, on stretching all parts of your body. And this is the thing is that, your tendons, they joined in with the muscles, they're part of that muscle. They can stretch, right? You can get strong lengthways. And the stronger you become, the more flexible you really kind of need to be. And to be more flexible, you need to be stronger, right? They go hand in hand. So the stronger you get in your inner muscles and the inner workings of everything, like the more naturally, and the more that you're doing your form and your poses and positions, the more that you are naturally going to develop that anyway. But like for example, front splits, like a year ago, I'd probably be like a good like this much off the ground in front splits. Yeah, like that's a good foot and a half, easy. Now I'm probably about this, like on a good day I'm this, but when I was in China, I was nearly on the floor. You know, it's like it's a big
Oh.
difference. And middle box splits. That's going to take me a little bit longer, but like something kind of clicked with my body recently, and I've just managed to like sink down a little bit lower, like by a few inches, and I'm going, oh, my body is releasing some limitation. My body
Mm.
is like it's cleared something, something's healed, something's moved, something's
Yeah.
like let go, so that my body can just let go as well.
Hmm.
Like we're naturally very, very flexible beings. All of us are. It's just it's the memory that we store in our body, the emotions stored there that keep us raw.
For sure.
So, yeah,
Sure, for
yeah,
sure. Like I remember I was watching a video and this was years ago and it was a guy, I think he was a Korean. He was Korean. He was a guy, he was a Taekwondo specialist, like a
yeah.
Taekwondo master in his like late 70s, 80s or something. And he was like, there's all opportunities where you can
Mm,
practice, even if you're
mm.
watching TV. He was like, if you're watching TV, instead of sitting on the couch, sit on the floor and practice your splits,
Yes,
stretch
yes.
it out, use every opportunity. You're laughing.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's so true. Like I've been on like coach rides or like even on the plane, I was like, there was no one sat in front of me. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna stick my leg up here. No one's gonna mind.
Right.
My friends next to me were just like, oh, we don't know her. Like they were on the same kung fu trip and they're just like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
There's
wee.
so many opportunities. Like even when I'm on planes, when I'm flying from place to place, sometimes I'll do qigong. Like I'll
Oh,
do sitting qigong. I'll
nice.
just, tune in with the energy. I'll put my hands in different postures and just, charge up. Like my cell
Yes.
phone is plugged in and I'm plugged in. We're
Yes.
both plugged in. Yeah.
I have a really random and funny question for you. Have you ever charged your cell phone from your own body, from your own chi?
No, but I have a friend who
Yeah.
does. I have a friend who does that. Yeah, she puts it in the palms of her hands, and like she charges it up. Like sure enough, the battery is at a higher percentage. Yeah, after
I've
she lets go.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cool. I've done that once before. It was a long time ago. I haven't done it recently. Like I just have power banks now. My phone's just charged usually. But like I remember this was years back. I was in Avalon
Mhm.
and my phone, it was so cold that my phone just couldn't handle it and the battery just went straight to zero.
Right.
And I charged it, and it just wouldn't turn on or anything. And it was such a beautiful sunrise. I was upon one of the hills looking over towards the
Mhm.
tour and the sun was rising. And I was like, I just really want to send that photo to a friend that I have across the sea because Avalon meant a lot to them. And I was like, what to do, what to do, what to do. And then my guides came and said, just charge it on your dancian. So I literally, like your friend, I held it in my hands, I put it on my dancian, and I literally visualized this energy going into my phone. It went up to like a green bar. I was like, oh, this is not even just red, this has gone to green.
That's the battery right there. That's the battery
I was
right
like,
there.
this is
You
epic.
got it.
Let's get a couple of photographs quick before it like honks out again.
We charge it up. You charge it
Yeah.
up. See, this is like what more evidence, what more do we need? You know, we're putting all of this chi into the dantian and you
Oh
charged your
yeah.
phone with it. Like, what other example do we need? You
Oh,
know?
so
Like
good.
that energy.
And I went to I was trying a new class out last week and it was Tai Chi. I don't do Tai Chi. There's no one that teaches it around here that I've known of. And I was like, oh, this guy's starting to do Tai Chi classes. I'm gonna go to that. And it's really cool because you know how like our friend Liso talks about the reverse breathing and things like that. And I'm sure that's conversational topics for a few people here. Well, it was really cool because you could like he had a room full of beginners and it was just fascinating and really powerful to witness these people that have never really experienced energy before, just from doing some basic breathing, some basic qigong at the start,
Mhm.
to really feel that energy not only between their hands but also in their dantian, and it didn't take long at all, and they were like, "Wow, mind blown!" And it was just beautiful to observe, like people that would never really, you know, they just wouldn't think about something like that. They're going, "Oh my gosh, this is real."
Mhm.
This is like this is going to change things for them now because it's going to have opened a door in their mind.
Right.
And what can you do when the door is open? You're going to go through it. Curiosity is going to take you there. What's around that corner?
Right.
You know, I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah. I love that, you know, following the breadcrumbs of your own curiosity, you know, just like revealing something within you and feeling something within you, even healing something within you that you didn't even know was there before. You know, you had no idea you could unlock a portion of, you know, your existence, your energy matrix, you
Hmm.
know, just the energetic field within you that you had no idea you had the key to
Hmm.
unlock it, and
Oh
all it
yeah.
took was a certain amount of presence, focus, concentration to feel that vibration emanating, you
Hmm.
know, radiating. And just like you said, where do you go? Once you've opened the door, you walk through it, the world is yours. The
You got
world is
another
yours
like 10 more doors on the other side. Maybe more, probably more.
for
Definitely more.
sure. You know, like, you know what I love about you, Alice?
Oh, go on.
You know what I love
No,
about you?
no, go on. What do you love?
You're so humble. You're so
I
humble.
don't think everyone would agree with that.
You're so humble. Like, you know, during this conversation, there'll be points in this conversation where you'll take a step back before you'll clarify, but before you clarify, you'll just you'll take a step back and you'll say something like, you know, I mean, you know, obviously I'm speaking about this as a complete novice. You know, I'm a complete novice, right? And the thing is, the teacher only needs to be one chapter ahead of the student,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
You can teach something, you don't have to be, you know,
Mhm.
10 chapters ahead. You could be one chapter ahead. You know how much I've learned just by talking to you? Just by talking to you, you
Oh, bless
know?
you. Bless you
So
so
much I've
much.
learned. I learn every time we speak to each other.
I learn
So it just
from you as
amazes me.
well. I
Yeah.
learn from you as well. You inspire me all the time. And I wonder, can I? can I be a little bit cheeky and ask you a few questions here as well? Because there are some really wonderful things that you choose to do with your energy and your light, and how you are exploring the capacity of your body. And so, for the past 3 days, I've just concluded now a really wonderful solar feast,
Mm,
right? A dry fast. And I've not done one of those for a good year, so it's been a little while. And when I look at you, when I speak with you, and when I read your books, which are amazing, you know, speak about humility, you are so humble in those books as well because you really paint a real picture of what it is to get to know yourself and get to know your body and have that grace and compassion,
mm.
right? And your journey. And so I wonder, would you share a little bit about your journey with whether you want to call it breatharianism or whether you want to call it just living that pranic life or whatever it is for you, however you are embodying right now. Every time you share anything about it, I always pick up little nuggets of wisdom, and it's so cool. It's just very inspiring.
Yeah, what did you want to know about it specifically?
Just anything that you feel apt to share because it's always spot on. Even if it's just a random rambling, it's like the most perfect thing usually. It just hits the spot. It's like a little Jerome snack. Snack of
It
snack of
hits the spot.
yumminess.
She
It's
said
the
it hits the
spot.
spot like that.
It
Wow.
does. It hits the spot.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad, happy to hit the spot, happy to be on point, to be on target. You calling it, the little nuggets, I like that because Breatharian Nuggets was one of the books that I started out with when I started
Oh,
this particular journey. Ellie Tom, he has a book called Breatharian Nuggets,
oh
and
no way.
it's
I'm
yeah,
really dumb.
yeah, definitely. It's just like little, somebody compiled, a ton of his Facebook posts. This was
Yeah.
back when I actually was on Facebook,
Oh
and
yeah.
somebody compiled a whole bunch of his little quotes and just little musings on Facebook, and they compiled it all into a book, and they called the book Breatharian Nuggets. So, yeah, so that was one of the things that kind of catapulted my consciousness to know, oh wow, there's somebody actually living like this.
Hmm.
Not only is he living like this, he's traveling the world, he's teaching like this, he's reaching to other people. So
Hmm.
that was something that really inspired me. So this journey, as you ask, it's just been one of constant inspiration and conversation, but also just, the fluctuation, the roller coaster of riding the waves, becoming an energy surfer, getting
Mm.
on my surfboard, going out there into the water and not being afraid to drown,
Oh
not
yeah.
being afraid to sink below the surface and understand that I will submerge, that
Mm.
I will reemerge, I will come back up, to trust my body even more, to trust my gut intuition even more, to trust my soul, my spirit even more, to trust my calling even more, to trust my mission even more, to trust my
Yes.
guidance, to trust my guides, to trust, the vibe, to really just trust everything that's going on in the internal and to really feel the eternal when I go
Mm.
internal. So yeah, thank you just for asking that question.
Oh,
It's
I love
constantly
that.
evolving, it's constantly growing, and I'm excited to see where else it's going. Yeah.
But I love how you said, it's full of inspiration.
Hmm.
And what is it that we do when we breathe in? It's a it is that inspiration.
Hmm.
And I find it so fascinating that so many term this kind of like we all want to categorize things, right? Our mind loves to do that. And there is this name of breatharian. And then you say it's so full of inspiration. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful connection that you've just made there. Whether you realize it consciously or not, you just literally weaving those golden threads together. And it's just the most beautiful thing. And Louisa here is asking a question for you. She says, how is it the feeling to live on pranic energy? What does it feel like for you?
So there have been times, more, there's been times where you will feel it more or less.
Mm,
So for myself, I've been in the pranic state more, and then other times I've been in it less.
yeah.
When I've been more liquids,
Hmm.
it was definitely, I felt it more than back when I was having solids,
Yeah.
So it's been quite some time since I had solid food where I was completely numbed
Mm.
and just completely dense, really densified to any sensation, like, not even talking about the sensitivity of feeling your feelings, feeling your
Mm.
emotions, someone else's emotions,
Mm.
just having compassion and empathy for other beings and sentient beings, not only human species, but animal species, animal life, like that connection just all around the spectrum heightened the more that I lightened,
Ah,
So the more
yeah.
that I lightened my diet, the more that I lightened my consumption, the more
Mm.
that I felt lighter and I felt I was going closer to light, you
Oh,
know?
wow.
So I started to invite that cosmic light when there was nothing to fight that cosmic light inside my body,
And that,
Like,
that is key. That is such a profound like statement. Sorry, I interrupted. Please carry on. Please
no, it's
carry
all
on.
good. It's all good.
Oh, it's just such a profound statement when there is nothing to fight that light.
Yeah.
And this is the question maybe I have for you, because for me, once again, I'm really quite novice at this. It's like, I'll share sometimes, well, for real though, right? I mean, I'll share sometimes with people on my channel, what it's like. That this time around, I did a little video each day and just like kind of had a chit chat with people. And it's very new to them. None of them have heard of like dry fasting, let alone what it could be to actually live on light or live on prana and lighten that energy within. But one of the things that I notice, and I remember when we used to, well, you'll have been doing this far earlier than when I have, but when I first started, it was with Pranic Family, right? And they used to do these breatharian initiations for 3.5 days. And the idea was is that you go past the 3 day point, right? And then you're going to kind of face that collective fear of, well, if you go 3 days without water, then your body will perish. So that was the first thing that anyone facing that will really come across.
Mhm.
And so it was interesting. So I always kind of set myself at 3.5 days anytime I do like a little pranic weekend, a little food retreat,
Mhm.
away from food retreat. And I found this time around that on day 3, I broke it a little bit early. I went 3 days rather than 3.5 because it felt like my body really needed the break from the breatharian
Mhm.
side. And that's something that I think my ego wouldn't have allowed previously. I'd have like struggled through a further 12 hours
Mhm.
rather than just actually allowing the body to release whatever was resisting.
Right.
And so I wonder, like, maybe through some of your earlier back and forths and feeling everything move, and did you have that where your body would be very, very vocal, very, very like, this hurts at this point in time, and or maybe my body's having healing crisis or things like that. Do you find that, or have you found that?
I definitely went through different levels of detox,
Yeah.
definitely different detox symptoms,
Mm.
different things were released, different
Mm.
things had to be let go, they had to be moved on, from my system. And it wasn't always pretty,
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't pretty. There were a lot of ugly moments where not just with the physical, of seeing what lies inside the toilet, like what
Yeah.
is that? Where did that
Was
come
that
from?
living
Like,
inside me? Oh my
yeah, like
God.
what the heck? Like
Like
how
something
long
out
was
of
that in
a
there?
horror movie.
Yeah, just what is that? But just the things that you didn't even realize were there, the emotional trauma, the emotional
Mm.
weight, the emotional baggage, the emotional turmoil and things that you haven't resolved, that you
Mm.
haven't solved inside you that actually leave you over encumbered. You're actually carrying something you didn't know you were carrying.
Yes.
And it's more than physical weight. Yeah, it's emotional pain. I mean, yeah, it's emotional
Yeah. I
for
mean, and the
sure.
body remembers everything, right?
Everything
The body's the last place it leaves, you know?
the body keeps the score.
The
Yeah.
body keeps score. Thank you for sharing that as well. You
Hmm.
know, it can be quite vulnerable to share something like that. So thank you for being so transparent and honest. And you know, it's it's one of those where, like, I know from every time I've ever done like a 3.5 day solo weekend, that there's always been something different, and it's fascinating because I notice how much more easy my body finds it, even though it's been a year since I've done one. My
Hmm.
body was like, no, we got this, no problem. And then it was like, oh, but there is something that you're holding right here in your body. There is something, and you've not quite released it yet. And I remember
Mm.
my first one, my body had went into full blown healing crisis, and it was great. It was great because this was when I was really learning about the mind and the power that the mind has to regulate the body and to heal something if we can integrate those shadows that are coming up, if we can listen to them, if we can be still enough with them, you know. There's just it's pure admiration as well for you for how you move through the journey that you've chosen to embark upon. And whether you are sharing or not in this capacity, you're sharing your light, you're sharing that which you've integrated every single
Mm.
day, whether you realize it or not, you
Wow.
know?
Wow. Blessings.
Blessings, yeah, blessings to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I received that. I
Mm,
received that. Yeah, thank you.
you're very welcome. It's very true as well. I'm sure people that know you on here would agree with that. That, we can't condemn ourselves enough, right, for things that we've done in the
Mm.
past. You just can't do it. You just never end in circles. So it's like, it's great to just see yourself where you're at, the eternal present moment, right here, right now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have
See,
you ever, oh, sorry, go on.
no, it's just echoing you. Seeing ourselves where we are. That's a great message.
Yeah.
Yeah. See yourself where you are.
It's, it's been really, it's been really moving to kind of enjoy this process over solar eclipse,
Hmm.
where the collective energies are usually quite volatile, or they can be around eclipses as the shadows get illuminated for people. And it's something that I find personally, and I wonder how you find it, but because of being so clear inside and sustaining yourself on such higher vibrational sources of energy, it's almost like even though you are in the ocean with those waves, it's like they're going around you. You're so much more regulated within yourself. And even if something big might come up, a big tidal wave might come, it's almost like it splits in half and just eases itself. That's
Mm.
been my personal experience whenever I've been on that path of light or that nourishment of light for those moments. And I wonder if it's similar or the same for you, or if it's a different experience for you.
You're saying like things don't penetrate you or pierce you, they just pass around
They
you or pass over you?
they pass around. It's like you can see them, and if even if it's something that's happening in your life that concerns you, it's like you can look at such with such a more stabilized mind,
Right.
such a more regulated aspect of yourself, rather than getting shook here and there.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
find that as well?
Yeah. Point of view definitely helps. The perspective, it helps like when you're in a situation that before would have been a lot, you would have gotten tense, you would have
Mm-hmm.
felt that tenseness in your body, you would have been rigid, you would have been stiff, you would have been
Mm,
stuck. Now you're able to be pliable, you're able to be malleable,
pliable.
you're no longer stiff, you're no longer stuck in that rigidity, and you can be in more of a liquidity and feel more of the infinity. You
Mm,
can open up because water is such a beautiful substance. This conversation, Alice, has reminded me about the Avatar, The Last Airbender.
oh
It's
yeah.
even all the elements, like in the show, they take place in different regions of the earth. Like we were talking about China,
Yes.
mostly like, China, places in China that's, I believe, based off of Earthbender, the Earth Kingdom. It's like modeled after China. And then, you have the Fire Nation, that's modeled after Japan. They have all
Very
those
cool.
customs in the Fire Nation, like they sit in Seiza, they do all the Japanese customs. And then you have the Water Tribe, and it's more tribal. It's out there on the ocean, and they're doing Tai Chi, and it's a different element. And
Oh
then
wow.
you have, the air benders, the air nomads, which is kind of like
Mm,
those temples in Nepal and like those Buddhist temples or just the based on Buddhism, and all life is precious, and
Mm.
don't harm any beings, and they're doing bagua,
Yeah.
bagua, like they're moving around in circular motions, the air nomads. So
Hmm.
they have a martial art that's applied to each of the bending styles, and they have a location of the earth that is inspired the each of the bending styles. But when you're talking about the element of water and things not piercing you, but kind of going around you, when you become more liquid, when you become more reflective,
Mm.
and not reflexive, but reflective, you
Yes.
know? It's not like you're reacting, you're responding. And
Yes.
the way that water has such an effect on rock,
Hmm.
water can burrow, it can burrow paths into the rock to where over time it becomes the Grand Canyon. It becomes like something so beautiful. It becomes caves, and it can erode something as solid as rock, not just due to its pressure, but due to its patience.
Yeah.
Due to its persistence, but due to its kindness, due to it's just never, it's not really forcing itself in, but it's just gently, gently over and over and over again. So
Gently
what?
massaging it.
Yeah, gently, like a gentle massage that just wears it down. You ever had
Hmm.
somebody that gave you a gentle massage and it just, you just kind of like, you
Melts.
just melt into it. You melt, right? So that's what the element of water can do for other people. When you're not fighting fire with fire, right?
Mm.
When somebody's shooting fire at you and you just evade,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you could just take it and you yield, and then you
Mm.
just redirect. You're not trying to fight that energy with the same
Mm.
element. You're using another element to disperse it.
Yeah.
You're using another element to smother the flame or put out the fire to begin with, so that it doesn't continue to build, so it doesn't continue to burn.
Mm.
These are the lessons that I've learned when it comes to that. Yeah.
Oh, wow, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing your sacred perspective there. No one else could have articulated it the way that you did, you know? But we all have unique speech, you know that. We all have unique speech, but I love how you find the words or the words find you,
They
you
find me
know?
for sure. They
They
find
find
me.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder,
Thank you.
how are you? You're welcome. You're welcome, brother. How are you doing for time here? I want to be conscious of your time.
Yeah, so I'm about to go outside in just a second here. We're gonna prepare for qigong. So
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I,
But this has been amazing. This has been an
it's
amazing conversation.
Oh gosh, it's been so fascinating and wonderful, and I'm getting like blown away by the wonderful wind, but it's so nice. It's like one of those where I'm like my body is just so warm. Every aspect of me is warm, considering it's quite a cool temperature. I'm just like being blessed by the sun. The sun is blessing both of us here. And you know what? Can you see the sun from your window yet?
Not yet. It's over yonder, but yeah, I see it over
But
here. Yeah.
it's like it might be such a cliche, but it's one of those where it just brings great perspective
Mhm.
for you to then kind of go, well, that sun that's over yonder there, maybe it's behind the clouds. I'm looking at that same
Same
one. We're
one.
looking at that same
Same
sun.
sun.
I just like,
Yeah.
it might be cliche, but it still blows me away and it's just beautiful.
Mhm.
And this has been beautiful sharing this time with you, Jerome. So
Always.
thank you so much.
Likewise.
Thank Until next time, my friend.
Much love. Much love.
Much love, much love. Oh, look at that. Hey, who knew it did that? Did you know
You
does it do it
did it.
every time? Oh, look at that. Oh my God. I learned something else new. I'll see you soon, Jerome. Enjoy Qigong.
We'll do. We'll do. Take care.
Bye bye.